So today I want to talk about hormesis. It's something you hear about in the podcast all the time. Hormesis is a big part of our healing. The hormesis is trending for better or for worse. I want to cover that topic. I want to jump in on top of that topic by talking about the paradox. What if I told you that some of the most powerful health interventions available to you involve deliberately stressing your body? It sounds crazy, but we spend so much time trying to reduce stress, manage stress, avoid stress. And the paradox here is the right kind of stress at the right dose actually makes you stronger, it makes you healthier, and it makes you more resilient. I want to be clear that this isn't the no pain, no gain bro science that you hear around. All these guys who never went to school and never saw a patient giving health advice. But there's a fair amount of literature on hormesis now. It's one of the most documented phenomena in biology as of the last decade. And it's to a certain extent an underutilized healing tool. So let's define it real quick. Hormesis is the principle that low to moderate doses of stress that would be absolutely harmful in large amounts could actually trigger beneficial adaptations in small amounts. Think of a vaccine. Now, vaccines got a really bad rap in the last few years, but the idea of a vaccine is you expose yourself to a really small threat, and your body builds defense to protect you against the bigger threats as it recognizes signaling around whatever the antigen antibody combo of the vaccine in that case. But in this case, what are the stressors? Whether it's hot, whether it's cold, bitter, we're going to talk about that. But what makes this particularly relevant for our work is that hormetic stressors actually activate multiple perceptual streams simultaneously. They force you into presence and engaging your entire nervous system. And they, in turn, require integration of body and mind. So, in other words, these practices aren't just physically beneficial, they're consciousness expanding tools disguised as physical challenges. And that's what I want to lead in on today because there's a really interesting hook in there for why we work hard. So, today we'll focus on the big three just as examples of these types of adaptations, just because they're the ones that have the most literature associated with them currently. Cold therapy, ice baths, cold showers, cold plunges, jumping in the ocean, fasting, which is strategic starvation, right? Food restriction, and exercise, movement as medicine. So by the end, I hope that you'll understand how to use these as precise tools for health optimization for your expansion of awareness. So, real quick, I want to talk about the science of hormesis. So, what happens when you stress your system correctly? So, there's some biological magic that happens, and there is what we call the dose response curve of hormesis. If there's no stress, your body has no reason to adapt. You plateau, you decline, blah, right? And that is the case for every couch potato not living their best life. You have optimal stress, which is what we're talking about here, which is what we would consider the hormetic zone. So your body overcompensates for a stressor that's come in and you get stronger. And then there's obviously excessive stress. Your body breaks down, you get weaker, you get injured, right? Which is where the other half of the population is living. They are so beat up that they are dragging. So the key is finding your personal hormetic zone where stress triggers adaptation without overwhelming your system. I've said this before in different contexts. You don't want to underwhelm, you don't want to overwhelm. So somewhere in between, you want to whelm. And this gets activated through what we call the adaptation cascade. So when you apply hormetic stress correctly, Here's what happens at a cellular level. So within minutes, you have an immediate response. The acute stress hormones get released. These are norepinephrine, they're adrenaline. Hey, something's happening, right? Your sympathetic nervous system activates. You get focused. You get sharp. Your alertness sharpens. And your multiple perceptual streams start to engage simultaneously. Like, hey, there's something going on. Is there danger? What is happening? Okay. So that's the immediate. Hours to days from then, you have some short-term adaptation. So you have heat shock proteins. These are cellular protection and they activate if you're in heat hormesis, or cold shock proteins and cold exposure. If you are fasting in particular, autophagy, which is cellular cleanup. Hey, this guy's not eating right now. Let's take out the trash. What else happens? Mitochondrial biogenesis gets triggered. So your body's like, whoa, okay, we're actually being taxed at a new level. We need to produce more energy to rise to the occasion. That's an important point we'll come back to. You also have anti-inflammatory pathways that activate, and you also have growth factors like BDNF, NGF. You get a number of positive growth factor activations that happen with hormetic stressors. And again, this is hours to days after the stress. And then weeks to months, we have some long-term benefits. Improved stress resilience. We get enhanced metabolic flexibility. We get stronger immune function. We get better inflammatory regulation. We get increased mitochondrial density. We get enhanced cognitive function, greater emotional regulation. And all in all, we get expanded stress capacity. This is why it's particularly interesting to me for you all in where we're at with this concept of multiceptual awareness is there's some really interesting insight from the research coming out is that the therapeutic benefit may come not just from the physical stress itself, but from the forced engagement of multiple awareness streams simultaneously. Is it the actual cold plunge, or is it your awareness of the pain, the cold, your breath, all the things that activate the anterior cingulate cortex? And this is where the research is starting to point, is to say it might be the awareness that's waking people up. So here's why they work so well. In this example of cold exposure, it forces you to process temperature sensations, which is exteroception. Breath control takes your breath away, interoception. Muscle tension management. Mental resistance, which is what we call metacognition. Like, okay, this isn't so bad, the whole talking to yourself part of it. And time perception, present moment awareness, like, holy crap, how much longer am I in this thing? Those are a lot of layers that you're processing. And because of that, because of the intensity of that, you literally cannot dissociate when you're in ice water, right? You're not flicking through TikTok anymore. This animal is awake. Same thing with fasting. You are fasting. It requires attention to a number of different areas. Hunger signals versus your eating habits. Your energy fluctuations throughout the day. Your mental clarity as it shifts. Your emotional reactions to this restriction. And cognitively, deep gnosis on this is your body's true needs versus its cravings. And exercise also has demands of integration. You have breath, you have movement, you have form, you have function, you have pain threshold, safety, you have mental focus, physical execution, the execution of things in order and sequence so you don't fall on your face. And then you have recovery and adaptation. But the core mechanism around all this, these practices create a state of forced presence and integration that itself is therapeutic, independent of the specific physical benefits. I talk about this a lot. Shaolin monks would stand in these deep stances, and there's a couple ways to do it. One is to get into this really painful stance and dissociate, move out of your body and watch yourself in this place and become hyper aware of the intense signaling of the body, but disassociate from that and learn to perceive that. The other is to say, so what? And to be with it, which is the more Zen practice that goes in there. So let's deep dive a little bit more. Cold therapy. Let's talk about how it resets your nervous system. It will activate norepinephrine, which is up to about 300% increase, which is better than any supplement you're ever going to get. It'll reduce inflammation, similar to NSAIDs without the side effects. It'll improve metabolic function by burning the brown fat and activating that. It absolutely enhances mood and focus. Dopamine levels go up 250%. Real stuff, really measured stuff. And it builds mental resilience, stress inoculation. We can progress into this and taste the benefits slowly but surely, right? So like week 1, you just end with a cold shower. 30 seconds cold water at the very end of your hot shower. Focus on your breath. Slow, steady breathing. Notice your urge to escape versus choosing to stay. And build up to 60 to 90 seconds. No one dies in there. But that starts to flex your time perception. It starts to flex a lot of things that we were talking about above. And then maybe weeks 3 and 4. I don't recommend any of you go, if you haven't done it, go jumping in polar ice. And weeks 3 and 4, maybe some contrast therapy. Alternate hot 2 minutes, cold 1 minute for 3 cycles. Do it for the entirety of the showering experience. That starts to temper your nervous system. It starts to create nervous system flexibility. That could actually be easier than straight cold for beginners. And then after about week 5, that's when full cold immersion can be a thing, right? Cold plunge, ice bath. Under 59 degrees, 50 to 59 degrees is that sweet spot. Start with 2 minutes, build to 5, 10, 11 minutes, 2-3 times a week for optimal benefits. But that's the dude bro line of jump in there and, get tough. I'm a Navy SEAL. But now let's start integrating. Before you enter the cold, you set your intention around this, right? You say, I choose presence over comfort. And take 3 deep breaths to center yourself. During, say, cold exposure, really work on your interoception. Notice your breath. Shorter breaths. Notice your heartbeat. Notice your energy shifts. Shift your perception internal. Turn your proprioception around. Feel your muscle tension, your posture, where you're bracing, where you're resisting. See if you can relax that. And then exteroception, notice the cold, the sensation moving across your skin. Feel what that feels like. Don't run from it. Feel it. And then mentally watch your thoughts without believing them. Just chill. Be with it. See if you can relax into the discomfort instead of resisting it. And then after you're out, notice the clarity, the energy, which is hard not to. Feel that surge of norepinephrine and observe how quickly your system recovers. Now, safety notes on this is start gradually, build your tolerance over weeks. Don't do this alone, especially ice baths, adult supervision. If you're feeling faint, get out. If you're excessively shivering or confused, get out. Don't do this if you're pregnant, you have actual heart conditions, or you have uncontrolled hypertension. And the one thing I would add to that is if your adrenals are flatlined, you're beat up, that you can't produce cortisol, let alone epinephrine, norepinephrine, this isn't the practice for you. You should practice napping. And so there's different strokes for different folks. You need to take measured steps going into this. Now for fasting, this is a primary metabolic reset. We mentioned it triggers autophagy, which is cellular cleanup and renewal. Very good at it. It enhances insulin sensitivity. It increases growth hormone production and secretion up to 5 times. Holy crap, you're getting younger. It reduces inflammatory markers. It absolutely improves mental clarity and focus. And it supports some really important longevity pathways, your SIRT1 pathway, your AMPK pathway. They get activated with fasting. And even with this, progression, right? You're not going to go out into the desert like Moses or Jesus and spend 40 days doing it your first time. That's dangerous. So level 1 is time restricted eating of 12 to 16-hour windows. However your life math works, I mentioned this a lot, is I find it really important to have dinner with my wife and kids because it's our time together in the evenings. So I push it back and I eat later in the day. So let's just say you finish eating by 7 p.m. Don't eat until anywhere between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. the next day. Right? I could easily go from 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. And that's when I work out. And then I'm like, I should feed these muscles. But that's a really good way of practicing this, getting the autophagy and also not withering away, right? I need the protein. This becomes the foundation. So master this first. And you get most of the benefits with minimal difficulty. Most people can do this, no problem, 5 to 6 days a week. Now, if you want to go extended fasting, level 2, 18 to 24 hours of not eating, you could go dinner to dinner, or skip breakfast and lunch. You do this 1 to 2 times a week when comfortable with level 1. This is obviously a much deeper autophagy activation, and you get significant insulin sensitivity improvement. Now, again, if you're already diabetic, talk to your doctor. Don't just go doing stuff if you're diabetic. Even if you're pre-diabetic, you better be really careful. You can do the level 1, don't jump to level 2. And then level 3 is, if you want to go gangster, it's different. It's a different level, multi-day fasts, 48 to 72 hours. This is for experienced fasters only. You could do this quarterly. I tend to do like a 3-day water fast once a quarter. I really need it by the time I get around to it. This is maximal autophagy, cellular renewal. It requires proper preparation and a refeeding protocol. I think it was Ben Franklin that said, any idiot can fast. It takes a wise man to know how to come out of a fast. You don't starve yourself for 3 days and go have a big steak, right? You slowly come back onto solids. You slowly nurture yourself back onto food. So a multiceptual practice around this, say during a fasting window, which is ripe for awareness training, is learning to distinguish true hunger from habit eating, noticing when you reach for food out of boredom versus need, feeling your energy shifts throughout the day, observing your enhancement of mental clarity, usually, hours 14 to 20, and then also noticing your emotional reactions to the restriction. And it becomes an awareness practice. Can you sit with the discomfort of wanting without immediately satisfying? You're not starving to death. None of us are. You need to stay hydrated. Water, mineral water, herbal tea, black coffee only if you're going to need caffeine in the morning. You got to keep your electrolytes balanced. When I do my 3-day fast, I put sea salt, magnesium in. I mentioned this before. You want to break your fast gently so you don't binge on heavy foods as soon as you come out. It's like, all right, I'm done. Bag of potato chips. Dumb. Don't be dumb. Right? And then you listen to your body. Some days need fuel more than others. Last night, I had a terrible night's sleep. Went on a long trail run and my neck was getting a little stiff and my arm went numb in the middle of the night because I pinched a nerve in there a couple of years ago. It happens every couple months or so. But I woke up with a dead arm and I was just flopping around an elephant trunk, 3:30 in the morning, and then woke up. Today's not a day for me to fast because my sleep did this. You got to take measured steps and know when it's time, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right? And so your preparation for it is also like a game time decision. Now, if you have a history of eating disorders, you got to work with a professional. Don't go start fasting. That's a bad idea. You got to get yourself into more trouble because you already have weirdness around food. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, don't do this. If you're underweight, or struggling with energy, you got to fix the baseline first. If your adrenals are shot, I'd like to fix the baseline first. And if you're obviously taking medications that require food, you got to talk to your doctor about this. Basics, but important to mention. The last example, exercise. What it does, the engine of adaptation, it increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, helps your brain grow. It's a good thing. It improves mitochondrial function on a cellular level. It also enhances insulin sensitivity. It reduces chronic inflammation, increases endorphins and endocannabinoids. It's a natural high, and it builds stress resilience across all systems. So we're not talking about chronic cardio or excessive training here. We're talking about strategic hormetic exercise, enough to trigger an adaptation, not so much that you break down. So again, we should have a progression in our protocol. So the foundation, if you're not doing it already, I'll start at the bottom, is daily movement, 20 minutes. Walking, gentle yoga, qigong, tai chi. You build a baseline of movement without depleting. You focus on awareness, you focus on breath integration. And honestly, this is the non-negotiable minimum. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair. I have people doing qigong in a wheelchair. They're not using their legs. They're still moving. And then you start moving up. Level 1, your hormetic level 1 would be high intensity intervals, 2 to 3 times a week. 20 to 30 minutes of warm up and cool down. You're going to put bookends on getting yourself prepped and bringing yourself down. And then whether you're doing push-ups or sprints or whatever you're going to do, it's 30 seconds of high effort, 90 seconds of recovery. And you just repeat it 6 to 8 cycles. And this is what the literature shows triggers maximum BDNF with minimum time. It could be any of the modalities. Don't hurt yourself. Running, cycling, rowing, body weight. This is a great way to start. 30 seconds intense, 90 seconds recover. If you're doing it right, you need the 90 seconds. And if the 90 seconds feels too long, you're not pushing hard enough in those 30 seconds. Sorry. Layer 2 would be resistance training, again, 2 to 3 times a week. You would do this for 30, 45 minutes where you focus on compound movements and you get progressive overloads. You gradually increase the challenge. And this would trigger muscle protein synthesis, bone density, metabolic health. It's hard to show in this, but like Arnie's, right? Like, so say you get whatever weight you can bear, you go down, you squat, you come up, you curl it, you push it up to the ceiling, you come down. And I like to do Arnie's where squat all the way down, touch the weights to the ground. So stick my butt out just to get a deep squat, pull up, full curl, full shoulder press, push up on my toes. So I'm activating a kinetic chain that goes from toes all the way up. And man, you start doing that 10 reps, 12 reps, 15 reps, you are winded. And that's what we're talking about. Layer 3, should you choose to accept it, maximum 1 time a week is longer endurance, 60, 90 minutes, moderate intensity. This is a challenging hike, a movement practice, a big yoga class. This starts to test, expand your edge of your capacity. As you do this, again, the exercise, the interoception would be you feel your breath rate, you feel your heart rate, you feel your muscles engaging, you feel the fatigue signals. On the proprioceptive side, you would say, here's my form, here's my posture, here's my balance, here's my coordination, this arm are doing the same thing. All these things have to work together. You have to be aware of all of that for your proprioception. Nociception, you have to distinguish between productive challenge and harmful pain. Is my quad burning or is my knee about to rip off? Those are very different. Okay. So understanding tendon, ligament pain versus muscle lactic acid buildup is really important because lactic acid buildup becomes a hormetic stressor. The tendon ripping becomes a financial stressor. You're going to the orthopedist. That's not what we're trying to do here. And then mentally, you want to observe resistance and you want to stay present with the intensity. Can you maintain awareness at your edge? The principle of edge walking is back again, right? You have to find the zone where you're challenged but you can maintain good form. Again, we're talking about exercise. Where can you still breathe with control? Or did you lose it? Where were you uncomfortable but not in pain? This tends to be the hormetic zone. And then we obviously need to recover past hormesis. The adaptation happens during recovery, not during the stress. So can you get 8 hours of sleep after intense sessions? Can you eat adequate protein? We talked about this, up to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight or 1 gram per pound of body weight if you were trying to put on muscle to support the repair. Can you take full rest days, 1 to 2 days a week, to let your body recover? And then can you track your performance and energy, see if it's declining, you're overdoing it. And if it's increasing, you're probably doing it right. We can stack these, and I oftentimes do, in a hormetic stacking strategy. So month 1, you could do cold showers, 30 to 90 seconds at the end. You could practice your breath control and presence. You can notice your nervous system adaptation and build that mental resilience baseline. This is, again, for someone who's not doing anything. If you've been doing stuff, then do what you got to and add where you're at, right? And then if you're starting and then you're in month 2, you could say, I'm going to add some time restricted eating. You do a 12 to 14 hour fasting window. You continue your cold exposure, and then you notice your energy patterns and your mental clarity. And then you start to hopefully become aware of some metabolic flexibility. This is not as hangry as they normally get by missing lunch, right? And then by month 3, you could say optimize exercise. You put in some strategic high intensity interval training a couple days a week. You maintain the cold and the fasting practices, and you focus on the quality of your recovery. And we can start to assess your overall capacity and your energy. Usually by about month 4, I like to look at advanced integration. So all of these working together, cold, fasting, exercise. And then you could add more extended fasts. You could increase your cold exposure duration. You could fine tune based on your responses. If you're not sleeping, if you're not recovering, if you're more tired, throttle back. If you're underwhelmed, throttle up, right? So you could mix it up. You could say Monday's cold shower and hit. Tuesday's fasting window and some gentle movement. Wednesday's cold shower resistance. Thursdays, you go back to your fasting window or some gentle movement. Fridays, you do your hit with your cold shower again. Maybe Saturdays, if you get hang, you do your more extended fast, the nature walk. Sundays to relax, rest, recovery, focus, chill out. It's all based on adjusting to your recovery capacity, your energy levels, your sleep quality, your mood, your stress levels, and honestly, the demands that life brings to you that week. Not all weeks are created equal, are they? Green light indicators on this is your energy stable, you're improving. Your sleep quality is good. Your recovery between sessions is complete, feels complete. Your mood is stable, it's positive. And your performance is gradually improving. You're feeling challenged but capable. Now, yellow light means you're approaching overload, is your energy starts to decline. Your sleep disruption is starting to appear and flicker. Your sleep's not as good. You're irritable. You have mood swings. Your motivation starts to drop. Your performance is plateauing or declining. And you're feeling strained rather than challenged. That's yellow light. That means pump the brakes. And red light, absolutely pull back, is you have chronic fatigue despite resting. You're getting sick. You're getting injured. Your mood is lousy. Your performance is declining. Your sleep is poor. You're having multiple nights in a row. One night here and there happens to the best of us. But if you're having multiple nights of poor sleep, that's not right. If you're starting to feel broken and run down, that's not right. When you see red lights, you take 3 to 5 days from all the hormetic stress. You focus on restoring, focus on gentle movement, you focus on sleep, you focus on nourishment, eat some soup, manage your stress, and then you can come back. So I invite you to find someone in the community who has a similar baseline so that you can partner up and do weekly check-ins. Share what's working, what's not working, troubleshoot your struggles, and celebrate your adaptations and your growth with your partner. And you can begin slowly and you can phase up. Just don't overdo it. Don't get over your skis. Listen, the moral of the story is your body is designed to adapt, but only does it adapt when you give it a reason to. Comfort doesn't build capacity, and safety doesn't create strength. Avoiding all stress doesn't produce resilience. Remember, Kung Fu translates to hard work. So the right stress at the right dose with adequate recovery makes you anti-fragile, not just resistant to stress, but improved by stress. There's a ton of resources in the temple grounds. I'm out of time. I want you to understand that you should start small, build gradually, stay consistent, and then trust the adaptation process. Your body knows how to get stronger. You just need to give it the right signals. Okay. I'll take a couple questions. Let me switch cameras and drop down over here. Let me just see what happened in the chat here. Hormesis, like resistance training, mind blown. Yes, it's all of it. Resistance training is part of it. I'm assuming I answered that. That was an early question from Jack. I'm doing a short juice fast right now and already feeling and seeing once again how much I eat for something rather than, yeah, listen, we all eat for comfort. We all eat out of habit. We all eat because there's something to do. We all eat because we're nervous. Fasting becomes a really important teacher in teaching us all about our relationship with food and comfort, right? Putting your feet in ice water provides the benefits mildly, but it's not enough to really get the super hormetic zap. I would err on the side of saying turn your shower cold at the end and just get a little bit of that, and that activates your body to kind of push out. That pushing out of the heat and the energy does a lot. Kathleen, I've been cold ocean dipping early morning, weekly for 30 minutes for 18 months with a group, and it's amazing. Become my sacred practice, and unless I'm away, I won't miss. Yeah, careful because it could be like a drug. It really does feel that damn good. People who do it need it. They crave it. We had a bit where when we lived in Park City, we'd be surrounded in 5 feet of snow, and you'd go out in the jacuzzi and then just go out in the snow and lay there and roll around and just be, the kids, everyone. So my kids are incredibly tempered and resilient because they'd be rolling around in the snow. And once they got cold enough, they'd jump in the jacuzzi and feel the pins and needles. It's just a thing. You build up slowly and then you get there as quickly as you can. How do I get this new book? It's not published yet. I'm talking about the concepts of it right now. Penguin Random House wants it. I've been not playing hard to get. We're doing a clinical trial with 150 people where everyone is doing cortisol, blood, cardiometabolic. My Aura is charging Aura and Whoop readings and really proving the thesis. I don't want to get into conjecture. The science is so clear that we're going to prove the thesis. And Jeff Bland is going to be on the study with me. I'm working with a couple of universities. So I decided to hold off on publishing the book until the first round of clinical trials are done, because then it's voila. That put me back at least a year on publishing the book. And I don't care. I already have 8 books out. I'm not in a hurry, but I needed you all to get this information sooner because it can help you. I'm dripping it out on a weekly basis as we go. When the book is published, you'll be, I heard that. Great. Maybe it's get it for a memento or get it and have me sign it when you meet me somewhere. Yeah. And for those of you who missed the beginning, we're 2 weeks away from the retreat. I'm really excited to get in a room with humans and do that. The weather is exquisite here in Austin right now. It really is. I can't wait to get outside. Every time I'm done in the studio, I run back outside with the dogs. We like to be outside together. Go to monthly book readings. It's on the left of my screen. I don't know how you're seeing me, but on the left of my screen, it's under Urban Book Academy at the bottom. It says monthly book readings. There's 2 books that are the finalists. Just vote. And then that'll be the book for this upcoming month. And we will read it and then we will meet on it. And that's been enriching. The people who've been doing it really enjoy it. And I enjoy it. I'm reading stuff that I would otherwise not have read, and it's all good. So Do it. It's good. Reading is good for you. I'm doing it with you. So it's a read along. It's not me lecturing. I'm literally reading a book with you all and we talk about it and discuss it. I'm not the expert on that book. We just talk about it. All right. I will see you all next week. I hope you take some of this and activate it into your lives. You come back and share in the community. Thank you very much.